Okay, we are streaming to YouTube. We're ready when you are.
Okay. I'll call this meeting of the Seward City Council to order. It is Monday, April 28th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And we've got quite a presence here, but new chief, Tyler, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. When you're ready, Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Roll call for tonight's meeting. Finch.
Here.
Osenga.
Here.
Warner.
Here.
Wells.
Here.
Barnwell is excused. Kreitz.
Here.
And Mayor McClure.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Okay, we have 3 proclamations tonight. A few retirees are happening. I'm going to read the first 2, and then I'm going to ask the Honorable Vice Mayor to read the 3rd because my voice is going. So first, we have recognition of service for HR Manager Tammy Nickel. You want to come on up while I read this? No. I know how you feel about that. But this is a recognition. Okay. Whereas we recognize and commend Tammy Nickel for her many years of dedicated service to the City of Seward across multiple departments, exemplifying professionalism, adaptability, and care for her colleagues and community. And whereas Tammy Nickel began her service to the City of Seward on July 4th, 2026 as a dispatcher, where she played a vital role in public safety communications for nearly 5 years, responding to the needs of residents and first responders with calm, competence, and commitment. And whereas Tammy transitioned to the Finance Department, known for her meticulous work in accounts payable and her deep institutional knowledge, providing consistent support to departments citywide. And whereas in 2020, Tammy accepted the role of Human Resources Director, where she applied her knowledge and dedication to employee well-being, overseeing personnel matters with compassion and professionalism. And whereas Tammy has been a valued presence in City Hall, not only for her strong work ethic and excellent judgment, but also for her wit and iconic hair. And whereas Tammy is retiring from her position with the City of Seward to relocate and spend more time with her beloved grandchildren, beginning a new and well-earned chapter of life. And whereas Tammy's experience, warmth, and daily contributions to the City of Seward will be greatly missed by her coworkers and the broader community she has faithfully served. Now therefore, I, Sue McClure, Mayor of the City of Seward, express heartfelt appreciation to Tammy Nickel for her exceptional service to the City of Seward and extend the best wishes for a joyful and fulfilling retirement surrounded by family. Dated this 28th day of April 2025. Congratulations. I'm going to say a few words.
Speech.
Just a few. No pressure, no pressure.
I've started my career with Pat and with Alan, and I'm ending with those 2, so I think that's pretty neat. I've met a lot of really neat people. I have a lot of really, really good memories, and I just want to thank the city for this. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Okay, and next we have recognition of service for Police Chief Alan Nickel. Come on up. Whereas we honor and recognize Chief Alan Nickel for his exemplary service to the City of Seward and the Seward Police Department, and for his lifelong commitment to public service, both in uniform and in community. And whereas Chief Nickel began his career in public service with the United States Army and later with the United States Air Force, where he served with distinction, traveling extensively and participating in operations supporting the Gulf War, including the liberation of Kuwait. And whereas in 2002, Chief Nickel joined the Seward Police Department and served for many years as the school resource officer for Seward's 3 schools, earning the trust and respect of students, faculty, and families throughout his approachable demeanor and commitment to youth safety. And whereas Chief Nickel was promoted to sergeant in August 2014, and in that same year received the Seward Police Department's Life-Saving Award in recognition of his swift, decisive, and courageous actions in the line of duty. And whereas in August 2018, he was promoted to lieutenant and subsequently to chief of police in December 2020, where he has led the department with professionalism, integrity, and a strong commitment to community policing. And whereas throughout his tenure, Chief Nickel has been a steady leader and a positive presence in the department, known not only for his leadership and experience, but also for his holiday cheer and signature baked goods, which will be fondly remembered by those who served alongside him. Whereas Chief Alan Nickel retires in 2025 after more than 2 decades of dedicated service to the City of Seward and lasting contributions to public safety. Now, therefore, I, Sue McClure, Mayor of the City of Seward, express my sincere appreciation to Chief Alan Nickel for his years of outstanding service both to the nation and the Seward community, and extend best wishes for a fulfilling and well-deserved retirement, dated this 28th day of April 2025. Congratulations. Speech.
Well, I guess I'll start off with, after that proclamation, I hope you guys will continue to support expanding the Christmas lights around this town. Yeah, it does mean a lot to me. I don't really want to talk about me, but you know, like Tammy said, she got to come up with us, and I got to see her, you know, save lives, and you know, like, just was an amazing dispatcher. And I got to work with Pat, and you know, I mean, we've become like family, and I'm just really grateful.
Okay, I get the honor of reading the proclamation for Sergeant Messmer. Whereas we recognize and honor Sergeant Patrick Messmer for his many years of distinguished service to the City of Seward and the Seward Police Department, and whereas Sergeant Messmer began his career in law enforcement after earning a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from the University of Alaska Fairbanks in May 1999. He was hired by the Bethel Police Department later that year and graduated third in his class from the Alaska State Trooper Academy in Sitka among 41 cadets. And whereas Sergeant Messmer brought his knowledge and experience to the Seward Police Department in February 2006, he was promoted to corporal in March 2008 and later promoted to sergeant in March 2021, demonstrating continued excellence and leadership throughout his career. And whereas Sergeant Messmer is certified by the Alaska Police Standards Council as a firearms and urban rifle instructor, and is also trained as an armorer for Glock and 1911 pistols, Remington 870 shotguns, AR-15 patrol rifles, making him an invaluable resource for officer safety and equipment readiness. And whereas Sergeant Messmer was voted Officer of the Year in 2015, a testament to his dedication, professionalism, and respect among his peers. And whereas beyond his formal duties, Sergeant Messmer serves as president of the Seward Police Association and plays a key role in the Seward Public Employees Association, advocating on behalf of his colleagues and contributing meaningfully to the broader city workforce. And whereas Sergeant Messmer also serves the community through his involvement on the Seaview Board of Directors, reflecting his strong commitment to public service both within and outside of law enforcement. And whereas Sergeant Messmer's leadership, technical expertise, and steadfast commitment to the City of Seward will be missed by his colleagues, the department, and the community at large. And whereas Sergeant Patrick Messmer will officially retire from the Seward Police Department on April 30th, 2025. Now, therefore, Sue McClure, the Mayor of the City of Seward, expresses her sincere appreciation to Sergeant Patrick Messmer for his dedicated service contributions to public safety, and unwavering support for his fellow employees. She extends her best wishes to him and in his retirement and future endeavors, dated this 28th day of April 2025 in the city of Seward.
It's been an honor to serve. I've served a few other police departments, but it wasn't the same community that Seward's been. Sorry, I just can't cry. And I love this community and my people I've worked with, their brothers and sisters. And I'd like to thank the council too for all the support over the years. You guys have always been great.
Thank you all. We now come to citizen comments on any subject except items scheduled for a public hearing. I don't believe we have a public hearing tonight. There's 3 minutes that you're allowed. If you've signed in, you'll get the first shot, and then others can speak up to 36 minutes total. Mr. Clerk, has anyone signed in?
Nobody is signed in to speak.
Does anyone wish to speak? There's a whole lot of people out there. You sure? Okay. We'll move along then to the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda. I'd ask for a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'll move for approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any changes that anyone would like to make?
Thank you,
Councilmember
Madam Mayor.
Finch.
I'd like to remove Resolution 2025-039.
Okay. 2025-039 will now be in number 10, new business. It'll be B2. Any other changes? Okay, seeing none, I think we're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk?
Voting on the approval of tonight's agenda and consent agenda as amended. Osenga,
Yes.
Finch,
Yes.
Kreitz,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Your agenda and consent agenda have been approved, and approved on the consent agenda are the April 14th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. Resolution 2025-038, requesting the State of Alaska legislators make a meaningful increase to the base student allocation for public schools. Resolution 2025-040, recommending Kenai Peninsula Borough approval of the preliminary plat of 1312 Vista Avenue, 1305 First Avenue, 1303 First Avenue, 104 Mill Street, 112 Mill Street, and 1303 Chamberlain Road, vacating a portion of First Avenue right-of-way and alleyway rights-of-way and combining the 6 lots and vacated rights-of-way into one tract of land. Resolution 2025-041, authorizing the city manager to purchase electric utility materials from Annixter and General Pacific for the electric department's annual material restocking in the amount of $138,676.94, with a 10% contingency on each order not to exceed $152,544.63 total. Resolution 2025-042, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Ingersoll Enterprises for custodial services at the Harbor Master's office and restrooms in the harbor area in the amount of $45,345 annually for a term of 3 years. Resolution 2025-043, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for custodial services with RavenQuest Housing and Maintenance for the Seward Community Library and Museum in the amount of $72,000 annually for a term of 2 years. And lastly, Resolution 2025-044, authorizing the city manager to accept the proposal from KPFF Consulting Engineers to provide project management for the shore power project at the Port of Seward in the amount of $398,039 with a 5% contingency, with funding provided entirely through the Environmental Protection Agency grant. And that's all.
Thank you. So all that happened. And that brings us to the city manager report, which oddly is on page 130 of the packet instead of right at the beginning. I was just searching for that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had a wildly busy 2 weeks since the last city council meeting. I was just running through some of the things that happened since we last met. I attended the Alaska Sea Life Center board meeting. We brought a trainer up to speak with the city staff on management training as well as emotional intelligence. And that was open to all city staff for 2 days and a really great event. Jason and I attended the Chugachmead open house to officially welcome that building and that resource to the community. And several of us also attended the U.S. Coast Guard Mustang decommissioning ceremony to say goodbye to the ship and the people on that ship. So a big thank you to them. I even think Harbor Master Tony got to go down and throw the lines as it shipped off for the last time last week. And in between all of that, we also did some interviews for the chief of police. And you may notice we have a new chief of police sitting in there leading the Pledge of Allegiance. So a big congratulations to Chief Tyner, who I keep wanting to refer to as Chief Butch, but I will not. And with that, I'll also toss it over to Jason for a brief update on the Jesse Lee home.
Yeah, so there is a note in there. So I guess we had some we have some good news in the fact that we can move forward with filling it in, but ADEC still would like some more core samples, and it's kind of one of those things we keep. It's hoops you jump through. It's the way these things kind of unfortunately work. And so the engineer is getting us a quote just for drilling holes. He said it's pretty simple. It's not going to be. It's a lot easier than doing the excavation and remediation and that type of thing. And so, but as I noted in there, Metco was paid with that grant fund that we got at the very beginning, and so they needed to expend those by a certain date. So we already paid them to fill that in, but. And so I reached out to Cole and asked him about that, and he said it's going to be like later in the summer, but he does need to know a little bit about what we're going to do with it. So because when they fill that in and they bring some other soil and they shape it, so we will be bringing probably a work session back to you in the near future, kind of pick up a conversation that we had. I don't recall the last one, but it's been a couple of years, I think. So, but we'll be bringing that to you, and that way we can get some input from you guys, which will be helpful when we do go kind of fill that in, and then hopefully after they drill those holes, we can start planning on making that what you guys want it to be. So, yeah.
I have one question. Could you give the public and us an update on the power outage we had?
Oh yeah, so we had a power outage last week. Taylor, do you want to speak to it real quick, or do you want me to? It was very windy out. I'll have Taylor pop up.
Just so people know how it went.
Yeah.
Because it's a good thing.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, so we did have a little bit of wind come by Kenai Lake, and we're actually doing a pretty good job, getting the trees trimmed that are within our right of way. But the problem we have, and mainly with the gravel pit area, is they removed a bunch of trees. So now there's a bunch of really healthy trees that are exposed to the wind, and so we had about 100 trees come down, and they were both on the railroad and on our power lines. We had one pole that broke in half, multiple broken cross arms, and then some of the lines just came down along the highway. But our 3 linemen, field engineer, and power plant operators did a great job. We, I think, got the last person on at about the 32-hour mark. But we were able to get the town back in generation in 40 minutes. And yeah, everyone did a great job. And unfortunately, this is going to be a hazard that we can't mitigate in the future. So if the trees keep blowing down, we'll keep putting the lines back up.
Good, thank you. Yeah, it was very much appreciated that the generators got going, because I start getting calls as soon as the power goes out.
And I will add, that was I was driving back from the Sea Life Center board meeting that day, and it was one of the windiest, scariest drives I've ever done. through snow and rain, and as I was driving and I saw a pole down, and I said, I bet the power's out in town. So a big thank you to Taylor and the linemen and all of the electric team for getting that back up and running for us.
Okay. And any other questions, comments for the city manager? I just wanted to, it appears that things are going well in the campgrounds. I mean, things seem to be up and running, and there's campers and stuff.
The campgrounds are up and running, and things are going really smoothly down there. We had wonderful weather for the Kite Festival this year as well, so it was, I remember walking around in the morning thinking, oh no, this is no wind in comparison to a few days prior, but the wind picked up and the campground saw a good first weekend and continuing through there as we spruce up some of those areas and get ready for full-blown summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, moving along then, we're all the way to unfinished business. It's hard to believe we got this far so quickly. This is ordinances for enactment. It would be ordinance 2025-007. And I'll let the clerk read it first.
So this item had a public hearing on April 14th and was postponed. It is ordinance 2025-007, amending Seward City Code 15.10.140, definition of an efficiency apartment, 15.10.226, land uses allowed table, adding attached and detached accessory dwelling units, and updating 15.10.215, parking for accessory dwelling units.
Okay. And since it was already moved to enact and seconded, we can just sort of begin with it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to administration to give us some guidance here, please.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor. So in front of you, you will see two laydowns from the Community Development Department after the discussion at the last meeting. The first laydown does not have substantial changes to the requirements or the code. It just has a clarification that our attorneys would like us to include. So if all else, we would like to see laydown 1 passed and approved, even though it doesn't have any substantial changes to the code or to the ordinance. That being said, laydown number 2 is brought forth with 2 of the 3 changes that were discussed at the meeting last time. The first is making it so that a detached accessory dwelling unit can be a standalone structure and not have that barrier to entry of having additional utilities brought to it until later on if subdivided. And then the second is changing it so that the zoning districts allow it for RR and R1 as well. And some discussions had about that were previously by the Planning and Zoning Commission that they did not necessarily want to recommend that due to the aesthetics. So we decided to include that change in there as well to allow in those 2 areas for discussion outright. We did not include any discussion about the parking. That decision was made as Planning and Zoning will be bringing that forward at a later date, but we can also discuss it tonight as well and bring it forth as an amendment if that is what you so choose. But laydown number 2, the substitute ordinance version 2, has those 2 recommendations that we had discussed at the prior meeting. So I feel that if I could make a recommendation to motion to adopt ordinance version 2 and then move forward with the discussion in there, and we can amend as necessary.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
That makes sense to the public, I hope. Okay, I'll bring it back to council. I'll go ahead and make the motion, I think, to adopt the substitute ordinance that's in laydown number 2 to start, if I could have a second.
A second.
Okay, and I'm doing this at the recommendation of administration, and it makes sense, and then we can add on, we can modify this one to put in the language that the attorneys wanted. Is that correct?
Oh, so this one would not need to be modified to include that attorney language. This one is good and approved. That language from the attorneys is specifically only if we didn't want to have it connected to new utilities. So if we adopt ordinance number 2, it can be adopted as is right now without any amendments if you so choose, but there are things that...
But we could amend.
Yes, but you could amend, but we don't need any...
This is a starting
Yep.
starting point. Okay. Any other discussion on just starting with adopting the substitute version number 2 for discussion. So do we vote to accept that substitute and then go on?
Correct. So we would
Just be
treat
sure.
this substitute ordinance as one big amendment. So if we vote to amend the ordinance with this, we can do a roll call vote on that, and then it would be as amended is back on the floor.
With this?
Yeah.
Okay, is everyone clear? Is there any discussion further? Ready to vote on that? Okay, Mr. Clerk, we'll do that.
Okay, voting to amend ordinance 2025-007 by incorporating the changes in substitute ordinance version 2. Wells,
Yes.
Finch,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Kreitz,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Okay, so that amendment has passed, and the main motion as amended is back on the floor.
Okay. So now we can make amendments to this version, should we choose, or just vote on this version as the final? Council? Yes, Councilmember Wells.
First, thank you to administration for reworking this. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure lots of people who would like to develop an ADU appreciate it as well. I'm okay with holding off on the parking discussion as per requested by community development, and I am completely ready to vote on the laydown option number 2. Thank you.
Councilmember Finch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am in agreement with everything Mr. Wells just said. And I'm ready to vote.
There was some discussion about the whole, whether they have to have their own water and sewer, and it was kind of a mixed discussion, although there was a recommendation from the former fire chief to have separate, I believe, which would be in line with the change in, that was put in laydown number 1?
That would be in line with the original ordinance. So
Oh,
the
with the
original
original
ordinance would require
This
that.
changes it back, just so we're aware. If that's the only thing, are we ready to vote then? Good heavens. Okay, Mr. Clerk?
Okay, so this will be the final vote for the enactment of ordinance 2025-007 as amended. Kreitz,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Finch,
Yes.
Osenga,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That ordinance has been enacted.
Okay. That takes us to new business, and we have a resolution, Resolution 2025-037. Mr. Clerk, when you're ready, could you please read that into the record?
Resolution 2025-037, authorizing the city manager to create the full-time position of utility billing specialist in the electric department to provide services currently outsourced to the Utilassist contractor.
Okay, and you'll find that on page 150 of the packet. I need a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'll move for the approval of Resolution 2025-037.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll invite Taylor to come speak to this.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, so after, I guess, being here about 8 months now, we've found out that we've historically, I don't know, probably for the past 4 years or something, outsourced a lot of our billing to this Utilassist that's out of Canada. And so our customers are calling an 800 number, talking to someone in Canada when they're trying to address billing questions. And we looked into it a little bit more, and the contract is for $137,000 a year. And so for that same amount, we could hire someone local, so that when you have billing questions and you call the number, you're talking to someone that's local. And it would also, we've got training coming up with the North Star billing software that we're using the second week of June. So this timing, if approved tonight, would hopefully we could find someone to take that job in time to get the training as well. The other thing is we're now going to have a little turnover for our cashier position. So we have a wonderful cashier, but she's moving to the other side of the peninsula, And so this billing specialist would also provide backup for our front desk, you know, during lunch breaks and whatnot. But we'll actually be looking for 2 positions now. So, any questions?
Councilmember Wells.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me. No, I was on council when my first year, when we outsourced this, and I remember us talking about what a big deal it was and how we didn't want to do that. None of us wanted to, but administration said that they had been advertising this position for, if I remember correctly, for a period of a long time. So I guess my question is how confident are we that we can fill this position with a qualified local person when we couldn't do it in the past?
So I think some of the differences that exist, the position that we had a hard time filling was for the cashier when it was water and billing and in this location. So those were 2 positions that needed to be filled, and neither of them were being filled at that time. So since that happens, we separated those 2 positions out, and they're currently both filled. As Taylor said, we are seeing some turnover with a person choosing to leave and go to the other side of the peninsula. But with this new position, there's also a variety of duties. So I think having the duties spread out and a bit more, different in the day-to-day, as well as an increase in pay that we saw with the 7% bump that we saw earlier this year, we were pretty darn confident we'll be able to find 2 really good candidates, one to fill the current position and one to fill this position.
And I mean, the only thing I would add to that is everyone's learning how great the electric department is to work for, so there's probably going to be all sorts of people.
Or like the city in general, too. No, just the electric department.
We're all patting ourselves. Thank you. Other questions about this? Ready to vote? Looks like we're ready to vote, Mr. Clerk, and thank you.
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-037. Werner?
Yes?
Wells?
Yes.
Kreitz?
Yes.
Finch?
Yes.
Osenga?
Yes.
And Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay. And we have one other resolution that was removed from the consent agenda, and it's Resolution 2025-039. Mr. Clerk, could you please read that?
Resolution 2025-039, recommending Kenai Peninsula Borough approval of the preliminary plat of 204 Lowell Canyon Road and 206 Lowell Court, vacating the eastern portion of the Lowell Court right-of-way and vacating the southern 10 feet of the property located at 204 Lowell Canyon Road.
Okay, and you'll find this on page 22 of the packet. Administration, I need a motion to approve in a second, please.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-039.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Now, administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to invite our city planner, Courtney, up to speak to this.
Good evening, City Council. So this replat is one of the last of the action items that we took on from the recommendations from our 2023 update to the Municipal Lands Inventory and Management Plan. And the recommendation for this property, which is located on 204 Lowell Canyon Road, was to vacate the 50-foot right-of-way in between 204 Lowell Canyon Road and 206 Lowell Court, and then to vacate the southern 10 feet of the city property on 204 Lowell Canyon Road, because currently it encroaches into the right-of-way, as it's only a 40-foot right-of-way there. It needs to be 60 feet, but we're only giving 10 feet because typically when you're vacating property to expand the right-of-way, both sides of the right-of-way need to vacate, and so the city property only has to give 10 feet, and then potentially in the future, if the properties to the south were ever replatted, then they would be required to dedicate the other 10 feet. So that's why there's only 10 feet being dedicated to create a 50-foot right-of-way. And then if you'll notice in the packet on that preliminary plat, there is it's called a turnaround easement that will be dedicated on the east side of the 50-foot right-of-way that's going to be vacated. And this is due to access issues for the Glacier View apartments there. And so they don't need an a right-of-way access or an access easement to get onto their property, which is why it's just a snippet right there where the building creates a pinch point with those properties. And so in order to get around that pinch point without encroaching or trespassing onto the properties there, we've created that turnaround easement. And then the last thing that may not be something that everyone's aware about, but the Kenai Peninsula Code requires that when a right-of-way is vacated, it's divided evenly between the two adjacent properties. So that's why you see here the city property acquires half of that right-of-way, and then the property to the north, which is owned by Councilman Finch, gets the other portion of that right-of-way. So that's just what the code requires.
Okay, thank you. And so this was removed by Councilmember Finch for a very specific reason. Would you give your reason, please?
Conflict of interest, that's my property adjacent to the city property. That road's been vacated for 30 years,
Okay,
so I'm the only one that lives on that road.
right.
So I am removing myself from this vote.
I would rule that you do have a conflict of interest on this very distinctly. Okay, so you can stay there, but if there's discussion here. Discussion. I think we're discussionless. Okay. Mr. Clerk, are you ready to vote on this, please?
Voting on the approval of Resolution 2025-039. Osenga,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Kreitz,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
That resolution has been approved.
Okay, you can come back now. Okay, so the last item of business is under new business C. It's to initiate by council a special improvement district for Forest Acres of Fognac subdivision. And this is brought to us by city administration, and there's some paperwork about it on page 158. And they're looking for direction, I believe, but let's go to administration and find out what they want.
Great, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, so at the work session on March 24th, you guys gave us direction to kind of bring all this stuff back to you, which is really an improvement district or an assessment district back to you. But in looking through the code, we have one of two ways. We have an initiation by petition, which the property owners have kind of done twice, and we voted that down for different reasons. And but we actually need you guys to actually initiate it. You guys told us to do the things, but we actually need you guys to say, to give us permission to officially initiate that improvement district and have like a vote on it to approve that. It's more like a record keep, I mean, just to do the official way kind of thing, but also it saves significant time in the process versus telling the property owners they need to go back and fill out a petition, and then the clerk has to confirm those petitions, and there's just a lot of this back and forth. And so if you guys initiate it, it basically just brings us to the exact same point more quickly. And so we just need you guys to, if you're okay with it, I don't know what the language says, initiate by council a special improvement district, the Forest Acres of Fognac subdivision. So,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and the clerk might provide some direction on what the motion would be on that.
Yeah, do you have,
I would recommend make a motion to initiate the special improvement district for Forest Acres of Fognac subdivision. Basically use the title from the agenda,
Right.
but
okay.
Thanks.
yeah.
I'll go ahead and move to initiate a special improvement district for Forest Acres of Fognac subdivision. And I'd like for a second.
I'll
Ask for a
second.
second. Okay, moved and seconded. Is there discussion? The vote would be then to get the ball rolling on this finally. We ready to vote? Okay, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, voting on the initiation of the special improvement district for the Forest Acres of Fognac subdivision. Osenga,
Yes.
Warner,
Yes.
Finch,
Yes.
Kreitz,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
and Mayor McClure.
Yes.
Okay, that motion has passed.
Okay, well, we've whipped through all of that, and this gets us down to citizen comments again, and we still have a large number of citizens out there, and I'm joking for the TV audience, there's not many. But if anyone would wish to speak on any topic, you get 5 minutes, and all you gotta do is raise your hand and come on up. And you don't want to because the sun's still out somewhere. Okay. So we'll move along to council and administration comments and responses to citizen comments, which we haven't had any, but administration. Let's start with you.
Go ahead. I do have one comment over here. I did want to, I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about the special improvement district, we've already begun working on it really heavily. But we just needed to make sure that you guys have that official thing. So anyway, it's very much in motion. The work is being done. So
Good.
The
So
ball is
hear that
rolling, we're
out
just
there.
getting permission halfway down the hill. Yeah. Anything else? No. Okay, cool. For me, a big thank you and another congratulations to all three of our retirees tonight. Definitely a big loss for the City of Seward Police Department and admin team, but really, really excited to have Butch. He obviously runs a tight ship if this council meeting's going so well, so good things ahead. And I am looking forward to heading to Washington, D.C. with Vice Mayor Osenga this weekend. So we will have some meetings set up with our federal representatives, Senators Murkowski and Sullivan, and Representative Begich, as well as representatives from the U.S. Coast Guard, the EPA, and the Army Corps of Engineers. So we'll report back when we get back.
Okay, thank you. I'll start with Councilmember Kreitz.
Just want to say congratulations to the retirees and welcome to Chief Tyler.
Okay, Councilmember Warner.
Thank you. Just gonna echo what was already kind of said. Congratulations to our retirees and to Butch Kiner for his new position.
Okay, Councilmember Finch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like a special thank you to the Coast Guard Mustang for their years of service and the things they've done for Seward and the people out on the water. Thank you for that. Congratulations to the retirees, and very happy to see Chief Butch Tyner over there. I know he's more than qualified and look forward to seeing what you do.
Okay, thank you. And Councilmember Wells.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
He's still writing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, first, like our amazing city manager, I was towing my cargo trailer back from Soldotna during that windstorm, heard tree snap, and watching the wind trying to blow my cargo trailer off. And as it came around the corner and I saw our electric crews already on the site, I was like, that is a scary job, and I am so grateful that A, somebody else is doing it, and B, that they are doing it so well. So a huge thank you for that. That looked like a very, very dangerous situation. I attended the town hall meeting out at Bear Creek. I only made one of the 3 meetings, but I want to give a shout out to community development and everybody who's been working on that project. The presentations were incredible. The community interaction was really good there. I unfortunately was out of town for the other 2 days, but I heard it was a great success. And finally, the first cruise ship has come and gone. And I don't know about you, but it was a great couple days for local businesses. And I don't know how many of us were actually prepared for how busy it was. But I'm okay with it staying that busy the rest of the summer. So thank you to administration, and have a great spring.
There you go. Vice Mayor Osenga.
Well, everything's been said. I just thank you to Tammy, Alan, and Patrick for their service to the city for as long as they've been here. And I hope only the best in their future endeavors. I agree or I would also say thank you to the Mustang for their, I'm not sure how long they've been here, but it's been many, many years. And welcome to Chief Tyner. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, well, all of that. I will reiterate, though, congratulations to the retirees, and it's good to have you on board, Chief. Basically, you sit there and you lead us in the pledge. That's your job, but it's it's a good thing. I can, make eye contact occasionally. It's a thing. A lot's happened, as the city manager said. I went to the decommissioning of the Mustang, and it was a very impressive fair. I really enjoyed that. That was something. I also attended the Chugachmute opening and said a very brief welcome to them because things were going along at that at that affair, but it was nice and it was really good to see the beautiful structure, and I hope everybody's appreciative of the exterior. They've done a lot of work there. I attended the third of the 3 comp plan sessions, and that was the one at the high school, and that was also well attended. It was good to look out there and see. I knew every single person that was there, and they were talking amongst themselves and sharing concerns, and I think this was a very well-run plan thing. The 2 ladies that were in charge were very knowledgeable and friendly and useful, and so I want to thank everybody that came out, and the comment period on the online forums, it goes through May. So May 31st is your last shot. So you can still make comments about how you envision Seward for the next quite a while now. So that's a thing. I just wanted to give you a heads up. This is way in advance, but I have the June 21st Solstice Cemetery Tour all planned out now. I've got it ready. I've walked it. I mean, I'm following Lee Pileski's footsteps, and I'm pretty happy with the people we will be visiting out there. Any other last minute things? This might be a record short meeting, I'm wondering. Anyway, I want to wish you a happy spring. I guess just enjoy the weather. Let's keep this weather going. With that, I'll adjourn us at 7:46.